And we're back for this week's edition of Rabbit Hole Recap with Matt Odell and Marty Bent. This is Marty here, putting on... Oh, hey, Matt.
I jumped the gun a little bit. How's it going, guys?
I was just going to explain that I'm putting on my NPR voice because we have our first advertiser in a bit here. This episode of the Rabbit Hole Recap, this edition of the Rabbit Hole Recap, is brought to you by Honey Miner. Our good friends at honeyminer.com are allowing you cryptocurrency advocates, specifically you Bitcoin freaks out there, the opportunity to earn Bitcoin with one click. Simply go to honeyminer.com, download their software. Right now, only Windows compatible. They're rolling out iOS and Linux soon. But if you have a Windows computer, go to honeyminer.com right now, download the software, and start mining shitcoins that automatically get liquidated into Bitcoin and sent to your account. Just giving up some extra hardware space or computing power to help bring the demise of shitcoins everywhere. Matt, what are your thoughts on Honey Miner?
Well, first of all, Marty just did that on the fly. It was fantastic. But basically, the general concept is you run it on your computer, and it mines the most profitable altcoin, and then it auto dumps it for Bitcoin, so you get Bitcoin.
Yeah. So
check it out.
They're friends of the pod. Very big fan of CoinYeezy and Crypto Randy and what they're doing with Honey Miner in particular. So if you guys are looking for a way to earn Bitcoin and don't have cash at hand right now, but do have some extra laptops or computers lying around, check out Honey Miner. We're going to put the ref link in the show notes. So even if you don't use it to download and start clicking things, just make an account. Use the ref link, make an account. Help out the pod.
I think you get the ref link gives us a portion of the return. So unless you mine, it doesn't really get us anything. Yeah. Just keep in mind, like it's for most people it probably won't be profitable, but you get a nice steady stream of Bitcoin, and that's really awesome. Yeah. And you get to dump some shit coins while you're at it.
Sorry, Honey Miner, messed up the end of the read there, but I think it was a good live read.
Very good, very good.
Thanks for sponsoring the pod. Love you guys. On to the topics of the week, Matt. We're struggling to pick up some topics here, but I think it's been actually a pretty exciting under-the-radar week. You want to start with the announcement today from, it's not even really an announcement, the report that was posted today from the New York Attorney General office?
Well, we should start with the date, which is September 18th, 2018.
2018, the price of Bitcoin. The date is important. The price of Bitcoin right now, let me pull up the chart. We're looking at Bitstamp today. It is about 7 p.m. here on the East Coast, and on Bitstamp, the price of Bitcoin right now is $6,345.09 in U.S. dollar terms. So that's where we are today. Thank you for refreshing our memories of what the date is today.
Marty got a little bit excited with his first sponsor, so we'll get better.
Yeah, so the New York Attorney General office basically released a 42-page report that basically dissected their findings of the different exchanges that cooperated with them, sort of their processes, their practices, and what's going on sort of under the hood at some of these companies. It was pretty insightful. Also, maybe a shot across the bow of the industry, like, hey, regulators are watching and watching pretty intently. What are your thoughts?
Well, we should give them a little backstory, right? So
yeah, go for it.
What was it, a couple months ago, New York AG Schneiderman sent out letters to how many exchanges?
22, I believe.
22 exchanges, basically demanding all this different information from them. They gave them very short notice. I think it was like 2 weeks notice to respond or something.
Didn't Kraken respond, like, go fuck yourself?
Yeah. So pretty much everyone complied. And then there was 3 that didn't. I think it was Gate.io, Kraken, and Huobi, I think.
Huobi? Yeah.
But Kraken, like...
Jesse Powell just straight up said, nah.
The founder CEO of Kraken, like, he just told them to go fuck themselves. He just... that was... we'll link his original response to it, but it was... It was pretty much, we don't serve New York customers, and you have no right to request this from us, and ask nicer next time, I guess. All right.
Yeah.
And so this was the result of that fact-finding mission. They took all the 19 different exchanges. They took all their information. They wrote up this whole detailed report about the industry, and on top of that, they recommended those 3 exchanges that didn't respond. They recommended that they're probably violating the bit license in New York.
How can they violate it if they're not operating? That's what I would like to know. Matt just got up to shut the door so you don't hear the chain. But how could they be violating the bit license and they're not offering services in New York?
Well, so the claim is that they are offering services in New York, even though they say they're not. I'm not sure how they dictate that. I'm not sure how. Kraken does KYC, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, would have to be VPN
and
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, these 3 sites were blocking New York by IP address. Mm-hmm. But if they do KYC, then they're also checking your ID and stuff, and I assume they're blocking New York that way as well.
Yeah. Is there... I mean, there's a good argument to be made that you really can't fault these exchanges for people that use VPNs to access them, correct? Are they protected by the law?
Well, I mean, basically, I don't think they're protected by the law, but I mean, if you fault them for that, then there's nothing an exchange can ever do to stop it unless they do full KYC. Because there's no way to tell where someone's from unless you make them tell you, right? Yeah. Like BitMEX is the famous one. They don't allow any U.S. customers, but if you use a VPN, you can like trivially get around it. And there's no way BitMEX can know because they don't actually take information from their users on who's using it. You know, all their users are pretty much anonymous.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the legal term here. Not feign ignorance, but plausible deniability. Right?
Yeah, maybe.
Plausible deniability.
But I mean, they can still make your life living hell, right?
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah, there were some interesting findings beyond them telling these other exchanges to start complying. One thing, Coinbase, it became apparent that 20% of their trading volume was them actually buying Bitcoin on their exchange on behalf of their retail customers.
Well, we're not really sure. It wasn't very clear. We think it's because of their retail customers. Mm-hmm. They kind of like put it in a slide as if they're trading against their users.
What? Really?
Yeah, they were like, these are the exchanges that have trading desks that trade on their own exchange. You know, which kind of gives off that impression. But it's probably it's their retail products. So like if you go onto the brokerage service on Coinbase and you go to buy some Bitcoin, like they have to pull that Bitcoin from somewhere to give it to you, so they pull it off their exchange.
Yeah. So in the conflicts of interest section in this report, it's 42 page. You can find it virtualmarkets.ag.ny.gov/pound section 2.
They made it really pretty for a government report. Did you notice that?
They
have like all these flashy graphics and stuff. And
very good parallax.
The website's
here.
Pretty. They have a custom domain name. What is it?
virtualmarkets.ag.ny.gov.
They're definitely targeting, like, it's more of a publicity play, you know?
So very, very good optics here coming from the Attorney General's office right now. But yes, in this conflicts of interest, there's a section, platform trading on its own venue. Yes to Bitfinex, Bitflyer, Coinbase, Poloniex, Tidex. Never heard of Tidex. Your exchanges that are not going to trade against you apparently are Bitstamp, Bittrex, Gemini, and HBus. And then Itbit just said we're not going to disclose. So
I've never heard of HBus or Tidex.
Tidex, neither have I.
But that's pretty good on Gemini's part, I guess.
Yeah.
Gemini, Bitstamp.
And Bittrex. Bittrex is sort of dying right now. So yeah, if you freaks want to go check out this.
Yeah, we'll post a link.
But yeah, really, what it really does is point out sort of like the different processes that exist within different exchanges, and really made clear that there is no clear-cut, concise way on how, like, best practices in this space, particularly when it comes to custody and exchanges.
Yeah, there's a disconnect here because, and we saw this with the bit license originally, where regulators want to put the same model, the traditional model, on top of these crypto exchanges, when in a lot of cases, the safest thing for consumers would be, not to give KYC info and custody and all this stuff to the exchanges, but instead the regulation requires it, right? And then you end up trusting them with a ton of information. You end up trusting them with more funds than usual. Stuff like withdrawal limits. They were talking about they want the exchanges to be less opaque, right? They want to basically be able to see into the operations of everything happening. Like, one of the beauties of this movement is that you can have exchanges around the world run by different people, with different philosophies and whatnot.
Yeah, just at its core, different borders and different domiciles.
And like this idea that like New York is going to go around dictating, what people do in these other countries is, I think it's pretty antiquated, and I think at the end of the day, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt New Yorkers. It's going to hurt New York. They're going to lose out on tax dollars because people aren't going to launch exchanges here. They're not going to launch businesses here, and they'll just block New York users. That's the whole point. Is that Kraken, after the bit license, was like, New York users cannot sign up to our exchange, because instead of dealing with all the overbearing regulation, they were just like, fine, we just won't service New Yorkers.
But it seems like the NYAG is trying to strong arm Kraken and other not what's the word I'm looking for here? I'm always looking for words. Not defectors, but sort of people that are staying staunch in their beliefs, so that they don't need to comply. It seems like they're trying to strong arm them. And is this something we'll see? Like, is resistance futile?
Well, this is an interesting situation because, the New York AG is a very prominent position, and usually it's used as like a launching point to further politics.
State Department, yeah.
Or like a lot of times you see AG becomes the governor of New York, right? And then runs for president after that.
Yeah.
That's what Spitzer was before he had the whole prostitution thing happen. He was the AG first, and he went after Wall Street, and he made a name for himself, and then he became the governor. So with Schneiderman, it was, I think that was like kind of a similar idea, right? And Bitcoin and crypto was the prices were going crazy. It was on the news everywhere. So he wanted to be the AG that took down big bad crypto, right? And so he started the whole process. And then in the meantime, he's had to resign because he had assault allegations against him, like multiple alleged assaults. And you had this new AG, Underwood, and it was kind of just like handed to her, right? So like you finish it, but now we're in a bear market. There's all these less eyes on us, so maybe it might not even turn into anything.
It might just be a nothing burger.
Yeah, I mean, regulators are going to regulate, but maybe this time it's like it's a little bit weird of a situation because he started it. It was in the bull run when he started it, and now it's a new person, and it's not the bull run anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting how price and attention really dictates this stuff. It'd be cool if the bear market, like, basically.
I think the bit license came in the bear though. It was the same idea, right?
2014, right?
Like Lawsky did it while everything was going big, and then he had to like follow through as everything was collapsing.
He turned out okay though.
No, he didn't.
Isn't he on the board of Ripple?
Yeah, fuck him.
I'm saying.
Lawsky was the guy who was heading the New York Department of Financial Services and pushed through the bit license.
Yeah, July 17th, and 2014.
His claim was that it was, to protect dumb retail. And then after he pushes through this draconian regulation, this overbearing regulation, he then leaves public office and creates a consulting firm to get through his legislation that he just created. And then after that, he joins fucking Ripple to basically do the same thing.
Yeah,
right?
Just it completely destroys reputation. Just adds the cherry on top. Hey, I'm going to go work for Ripple.
Yeah, I just don't know how you can say like I'm protecting dumb retail, and then go to Ripple.
One of the dumbest like, coins for retail investment.
Yeah, it's like the number one Mark coin, you know.
Yeah, Mark coin. I like that.
Okay, let's get to the next topics. Regulators are going to regulate.
Regulators are going to regulate, and then code.
Oh no, and this sucks. And the worst they can do is for the exchanges. Like it sucks for the exchanges, the guys running the exchanges, but like Bitcoin doesn't give a shit. Like they can't regulate Bitcoin.
Yeah, you just fucked up my segue there.
Sorry, segue.
I was going to say code executes no matter what. And sometimes it can execute bad things known as bugs. And today it was made aware to the overarching Bitcoin user base that there has been a bug in the Bitcoin core implementation since version 0.14.0. And the core team rushed out an upgrade today to version 0.16.3 to patch the bug. Never ideal. Definitely a bad look on the core team here, or not the core team, just
every all the eyes that were on it.
All the eyes were on it. Missed it for two major versions, and then two
it's been
two
in there
smaller
for a
versions
while.
within the last major. And I'm trying to pull up the OpTech newsletter here. Give me a second. But it dove into the bug, and basically the bug had to do with a potential DDoS attack on nodes from miners.
Yeah, if you had a miner, so first of all, the bug required a miner to actually toss out his 12.5 Bitcoin mining reward.
All right, you want me to read it?
Yeah, just read it.
So highly recommended to upgrade to 0.16.3 if you're running a node right now to fix a denial of service vulnerability, a bug introduced in Bitcoin Core version 0.14.0 and affecting all subsequent versions through 0.16.2 will cause Bitcoin Core to crash when attempting to validate a block containing a transaction that attempts to spend the same input twice. Such blocks would be invalid and so only can be created by miners willing to lose the allowed income and having created a block. So at least 12.5 Bitcoin or about 80 grand right now.
So you mine a block, it has a transaction in it that goes to two different places, makes that block invalid, but it also at the same time crashes the node.
Yeah.
And it only affects nodes after 0.14.
But how many nodes could it crash at once potentially? That's what I'm.
But so the thing is, like when a node crashes, it stops propagating the block. Mm-hmm. So that should limit the effect to a degree, and because it's invalid, the propagation also.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying.
Limited. So any client that doesn't have that vector in it wouldn't propagate the block because it's invalid, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like libBitcoin probably wouldn't.
We haven't seen any blocks like that yet. People are already installing 0.163.
Looking at the node count on CoinDance, it doesn't look like anything's happened. It doesn't look like the BU chart or anything like that.
I've already upgraded my node. So you should upgrade, pretty soon or get that done if you have a node.
Well, let's talk about what this means, though. Is this how grave is this?
Well, one of the important things here is that it does, the risk of it is reduced because of the game theory of the system, right? So like the miners have to specifically, not only they have to throw out their own money to do it.
Mm-hmm. 80 grand right now.
Right. They'd also possibly be killing their golden goose, right? Because like you might end up crashing Bitcoin, like really badly.
That's what I was thinking. Like that's the thought experiment I found. That's like the place I found myself in my own thought experiment. Is like the game theory is such that the miners, why would they even do this?
But so you have two things, right?
Unless you're malicious.
Bitcoin Cash.
Mm-hmm. So
if you're, it'd be. That's one of the scary things is that's been around since 0.14. So when Bitcoin Cash had more of the narrative going for it, and the price wasn't completely down the shitter, like they might have been able to do some craziness with it, right?
Luckily, they were not competent enough.
So you have Bitcoin Cash, so they can move their miners there, and I think the game theory gets weakened a little bit with altcoins now.
Well,
in the picture, because you attack Bitcoin and at the same time you short it. First of all, right? And It'll be hard to do that in like any kind of meaningful volume anonymously, but you could short it. And then alternatively, you could also, or at the same time, you could, have shitcoin bags and then pump with that. Like if, I don't know, like Litecoin or I don't know, Ethereum or something. We kind of saw that last year with the altcoin boom, right? Where there was a lot of spam transactions happening on Bitcoin, but coupled with the fact that miners weren't also mining full blocks, they were leaving out empty blocks, and Bitmain was one of the main people doing that. And I part of that is because of that breakdown of game theory a little bit, where they were then at the same time pumping altcoins, and they were making miners for those altcoins. They had bags of those altcoins, right? And then you could see like 100x multiples, 50x multiples in the alts because you're sabotaging Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. So it changes the game theory a little bit from when it first was
introduced
when Bitcoin was first introduced, because you do have these other competing chains, I think, mm-hmm. but not that much, right? It's still like if Bitcoin goes down because of a bad bug, you're taking the whole space with it for a little bit.
I would agree. And do you think this could completely cripple Bitcoin? That's what I'm trying to grasp here. Like,
no, well, we at least have. I was looking at, if you scroll all the way down in coin.dance, you can see they give you the version breakdown. Oh no, there's a button there. Down. Oh yeah, here you go. Scroll down more. It gives you all the different node implementations and how many there are.
So download.
Click view. Oh, not view. I saw it there somewhere. But anyway, there's about 1,000. There's at least 1,000 visible nodes that are under 0.14, right? So even if it somehow crashed every node above 0.14, you'd still, even in that worst case scenario, you'd still have the nodes from 0.14 from before 0.14.
Yeah.
It's like a little under 1,000. It's like 800 nodes are under 0.14.
There we go. Yeah, here we go.
And then you have the ones that are above 16 point. Then you have the newer nodes, the beta nodes.
There's there's 26 people still running beta nodes. That's interesting. That's Bitcoin. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's just what they tag themselves as too. Yeah. Like you can change that. But anyway, it's not great. It's definitely not a good look. It's another reminder that these things are complicated, and even when you have the smartest minds in the world looking at it, things get through.
Yeah.
But it looks like someone disclosed it to them. It hadn't been attacked in the wild. They got everything together and patched up, ASAP. The Bitcoin Optex newsletter is a perfect example of its value here, because they're able to reach a lot of people that don't check the mailing list and GitHub and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it probably wouldn't have been, like I said, it's not great to see, but it probably wouldn't have been, catastrophic. And everyone, everyone has their copy of the blockchain.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out, I believe it was disclosed to Bitcoin ABC first, because they were affected. Apparently that's what Greg Maxwell's saying on Reddit. So this has been known for a little bit here, but yeah, just a reminder that as highly touted as the developers in Bitcoin are in particular, nobody's infallible.
But like by the time you listen to this pod, if a miner hasn't tried to do the attack yet, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's probably already too late for them to do it. But
yeah,
definitely in like the next 6 hours or so it will be.
Yeah. Another Bitcoin Core version is make sure you test version 0.17.
But see, if you were testing that one wasn't going to get knocked off.
No. Well,
oh no, I guess it would have.
It would have
until the patch. Now it won't.
Yeah, it probably implemented it today. Yeah,
that's true. That one would have got knocked off too.
Yeah, yeah. So interesting times. Some. Would you consider this FUD? Not FUD.
No, this is. I mean, it's fear, uncertainty, and doubt. That's for sure. But it's substantiated.
Yeah.
The problem is unsubstantiated FUD.
That's true. Very good. De-alienation.
The price didn't really take a hit. I mean, people are idiots, so they probably don't even
understand
really realize
what's going on. Yeah.
But price didn't take a hit. Nodes didn't take a hit. And we carry on.
And we move on. What do we got next? You want to talk about this ICO deflation here?
Not really. There's just not many ICOs anymore, right?
Yeah, Crypto Bobby had a good tweet basically showing the volume of money raised via ICOs, 1.5 billion in January, and you can't even comprehend how much in September, I guess.
Just very little.
Yeah, less than 100 million.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like private raises still, even the ones that exist in the previous months.
Let's talk about private raises. Like, they're completely anathema to what the space is like. How's that even acceptable? Like, a pre-mined shitcoin in like 2013 was laughed at.
Ethereum set the standard, Then once you did that, it was just.
But it wasn't private.
Well, there was like 25 founders or whatever that had private allocations, right?
Yeah.
And like they were really seed investors, right?
Well, there's the oligarchs you want to live under in the future.
And then all those guys then and all the other ICOs wanted private placements and stuff, and they had the discounts, and all the funds are incestuous. I mean, someone was talking to me about it. It's something like 20 funds control, like 60% or 70% of the fund investment in the space. So like you have like 20 people in a room, and they all get in on the same deals, and they get those nice sweet discounts.
Yeah.
Before you dump it on retail. And
do you think that's sustainable in the long run?
No, the graph shows you that it's not. I mean, one of the reasons Ethereum boomed, right, is because it was the on-rope to the ICOs.
Yeah.
I mean, so was Bitcoin.
But I've made this analogy before. It's very analogous to like printing money and the system we're trying to run away from with Bitcoin in particular. But
the individual tokens, like absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, if you give someone the power to do it, they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
It's and a lot of these tokens are centralized. It's the complete opposite of what this space used to be. And it makes sense that they were, and a lot of times they were breaking securities violations and stuff like that, and they were just playing with fire, and now it's starting to catch up with them. A lot of these guys have subpoenas and stuff, that we probably don't know about. Mm-hmm. And they're scared, and they also know that they're not going to get those big retail numbers too. So like, why break the law if you're not going to make $150 million?
It's true. The risk reward is not there anymore.
Yeah, it's not as much.
Yeah, so that's the state of the ICO industry, public ICOs at least, completely deflated at about less than 10% volume of what they were at in the beginning of the year.
It was like it was a year of craziness, and now we're getting back to normal.
Climbing back to sanity. We talked about the New York Attorney's General office earlier. I think one thing, I just interviewed Caitlin Long on this week's episode of Tales from the Crypt.
Great episode.
The interview. Thank you. Check that out if you haven't, freaks. But we jumped into what she's doing with Wyoming and the government in Wyoming in particular, and it seems like they're trying to be the polar opposite of New York State and be as laissez-faire as possible. And Caitlin has a call to action for all you freaks out there, specifically any of you freaks who have attempted to run a company that accepts or works with cryptocurrency and has had trouble getting a bank account. If you have a story that sort of follows this theme, if you could type it up and send it to Caitlin. You can find her on Twitter at Caitlin Long _. That's Caitlin CAITLIN Long LONG _ on Twitter. Go to her website, find her email. If you have one of these stories, and share your story with her, she's going to send it, put it in front of the Wyoming state representatives.
She's just looking for ammunition, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to happen this Friday, so a little short notice here. But if you have some time, looking to contribute, any little thing you can do to help push Bitcoin forward, this is one thing. So that's my announcement. It's been a slow news week.
Talking about closing accounts, PayPal was they were closing a bunch of YouTuber accounts.
What happened?
Which I think the genre of YouTube was they make like sexual noises.
Is it like a fetish genre?
I'm not really sure. All I know is that they were making a lot of money on PayPal donations. PayPal shut it down.
It was what, like sex work?
Gave them no recourse. But PayPal allows, supposedly in their terms, but you have to like choose it, and they don't think that they apply for it, so they would never choose that either. But anyway, I think PayPal is one of the best marketers for Bitcoin. Every time they close an account, it's just like a perfect example of the value prop that you have. I mean, this woman was on Twitter like complaining to her followers like, I don't know what to do, like they're risking my livelihood here. And Bitcoin, there you go, there's the answer.
Go to Bitcoin, it's the answer. It can definitely help.
Another topic I wanted to talk about was Josh Garza.
Oh, gall miners, baby. He just went to jail, didn't he?
Paycoin, 21 months in jail. This guy basically
an OG scammer.
He was way ahead of his time. He would have made bank in 2017, like absolute bank.
He would have crushed it.
He launched an ICO in 2014. I think
for gall miners, right?
Or was it Paycoin?
Paycoin for gall miners.
It was Paycoin by gall miners.
Okay.
Yeah. So gall miners was a Bitcoin mining op. I think they also did like Litecoin as well. This was around the same time that Ethereum was having their ICO. Because it was 2014, right? I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he made all these big claims. It was going to be Bitcoin 2.0. It's going to be the future. He had all his it was complete with bullshit partnerships. He said you were going to be able to buy on Amazon and Walmart. And he did a bunch of like hype PR articles.
A lot of partnerships.
So many partnerships. And so he got a bunch of PR. Wall Street Journal wrote him up. He was running ads on all the top sites, but it was immediately obvious like how shitty of a fucking product it was. But he sucked so many people in. He claimed a $20 price floor, which like kind of reminds me of like a lot of the stable coins too, where he said like we'll always buy the coin for $20, so it's never gonna go under 20. And then eventually it broke, right? Like he ran out of money.
This is like freaks out there. If you ever hear somebody in this space in particular trying to claim that, I had somebody look me in the face. I went to a Neo event undercover like 6 months ago just to see like what that hype was like. I wrote about it in the newsletter. Couldn't tell you what issue, but
China's Ethereum.
Exactly, China's Ethereum. Neo is.
But
not, I was like interviewing people. I went to this event. I think it was at Citibank. No, it was at Chase. It was at JP Morgan Chase down in Fide, like in one of their like top floor of one of their buildings. And this event was so shittily thrown together that they had like this camera set up to interview attendees of the event, and they had nobody to interview. So they're like, "Do you know what you're doing?" I was like, "Yeah, I can interview people." So I went like completely like,
wow.
I went undercover and was just asking hard questions. And like, I shit you not, two of the people like I was talking to that were raising ICOs at the time looked at me straight in the eyes and said, our token will have a price floor. One was $2 and one was $1.50. Freaks, economics 101, price floors are just impossible economically.
You'll just sell into them until they break. I mean, Bankr was one of the big ICOs of last year, and like they had a price floor that broke, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And it was like one of the first things that happened. Everyone was like, okay, let's break this price floor.
And they were in the news this week too. Actually, they're gonna port.
Oh, that's a good topic.
They're gonna port functionality to EOS. Let's talk about this. Yeah, nice little ad lib topic here.
So Ethereum has had the benefit of basically swinging up for Ethereum's like 3 years old now at this point, maybe a little bit older.
3, yeah.
I think it's just almost 3. Yeah, but anyway, it's young, and it's been swinging up most of the time, right? So we're going after Bitcoin. The Bitcoin maximalists are all narrow-minded and ignorant, and we have nothing to lose. We're the innovators, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now that they're number 2, now that they're one of the juggernauts in the space, you have all these other chains that are coming after them, right? that are Ethereum wanted to be Bitcoin 2.0. Well, now you have all the so-called Ethereum 2.0 chains, right? Mm-hmm. And one of them is EOS. And with these chains, what they want, their main priority is to make it as easy for Ethereum developers to port their shit over, right? Like that's the main goal that they have. Like if you look at a short-term way to boost your chain's value, the easiest way is to make it so any dApp that's on Ethereum can just be smoothly ported over. Mm-hmm. And that's what's happening. And that's what EOS did. And that's what's happening with Bancor. They're launching Bancor on EOS. And so on EOS or Ethereum, you can use Bancor to trade EOS or Ethereum-based tokens. So anything... So it's not even like... So like you could use EOS and supposedly... I mean, I haven't tested it out, but supposedly you can be trading ERC20 tokens on EOS using Bancor.
We have galaxies colliding here. No, and it's interesting to see this at the beginning of this sort of trend. And why... So let's explain why this is happening. Like, why are they going over to EOS? Why aren't they content with Ethereum?
Well, one of the interesting things is for a lot of these dApps to be functional, you want to have lower fees, right? But for usually lowering fees goes at the it has an opposite force for censorship resistance and decentralization. So one of the easiest ways to lower fees is to just increase centralization, just say it doesn't even matter. So you end up in this kind of race to the bottom where if chains are competing on fees, then each one's trying to become more centralized than the other, and long term you're just going to become a target for governments, and your whole value prop goes out the window. So that's what that EOS was like. We see Ethereum as like a little bit, Ethereum is more centralized than Bitcoin. Well, let's up that a fucking notch, and we'll make ours even more centralized.
21 block producers.
And the fees will just be way low. And what they do is the fees are like baked into the inflation. So like you don't feel like there's fees, but like you're getting taxed through the inflation. Mm-hmm. And it makes it, and I guess the dApp developers on EOS also pay for the fees in addition to that. So the fees are really abstracted. The users never really see any fees.
The developers pay the fees?
Yeah, they like load it up with
gas like a subsidy or something to bootstrap their apps,
like,
or like
the way the smart contracts work on EOS is the developer is like putting a certain amount of money aside to handle that amount of processing power on the EOS network. So if a certain number of transactions or whatever are going through, they need to put up that amount of money. But everything is abstracted so that to the end user, they think there's no fees.
Yeah. But that will come out in higher app costs, right? It'll just be hidden somewhere else. Right?
Yeah, the whole point of EOS, everything always has a cost no matter what, right? Mm-hmm. But the key is who's paying the cost.
Yeah.
And how does the user view it, right? Mm-hmm. And so like the EOS model is the block producers are taking an inflation cut, right? So that's abstracted out, and then the devs are also putting up some money.
Yeah, I'm still stuck on the devs part here. Like, how many devs are going to be willing to front that amount of costs, and for how long?
Yeah, I have not looked into it well enough. Mm-hmm. I don't think EOS can last long term. So, and I don't know. I don't think that's the issue, but it could be one of them, right?
Yeah. I guess the overarching point we're trying to make here is that dApp platform competitors are coming. Teza has just launched. This is another news item. Teza has just launched mainnet this week, right?
I think the important thing to take away is that it doesn't matter how many projects you have built on top of your chain. By the nature of these platforms, right? Like you can move around them relatively easy. The moat isn't as big as people think the moat is. Yeah. In terms of dApps and smart contracts.
Yeah, and perceived Lindy effect and sunk costs into.
And then the other reason Bancor likes it is because Bancor's Ethereum contract famously has the clause in it where they can just do whatever the fuck they want with the tokens, and they can pull back tokens and stuff.
Yeah.
And like EOS loves that philosophy. So that's another case where like Ethereum had the DAO rollback, and then EOS was like, well, that's great, but we're going to take that to the whole next level, and we're going to create a constitution that says that we are absolutely going to roll it back in those situations. You know, so it's
so for you freaks that don't understand, I don't know if did they take it out at one point. It might still exist, but at one point, every time a transaction happens on the EOS network, like a miner or a user is hashing the EOS constitution into that transaction. The constitution is
always hashed in. I'm pretty sure it's still there.
Yeah.
It's just weird, man.
It's very weird. It's a little too idealistic, too, I believe.
Yeah, and it just throws all the immutability out the window. You have people, you have politicking. I think there's so much wrong with EOS. But the point is, if you're trying to run a dApp for cheap, you know, there's going to be a million chains that can do that, right? And it's just a race to the bottom. It's not good for the long-term health of any chain to try and compete on fees. Do
you think there'll ever be a point where on second and third layers of Bitcoin, platforms like this exist, and you can use Bitcoin the token, whether it be via Lightning Network or some other higher level layer?
I already like the terminology that came out. Laps, sounds better than dApps.
I like laps.
That's LAPPS.
And you wanted to highlight a lap tonight, actually.
Oh, yeah. So I thought it'd be good if we had a section that was just like cool shit built on top of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Built on top of Lightning specifically.
Yeah. So we got an example today.
LNDwork.com.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know if you freaks know Mechanical Turks, which is Mechanical Turk, which is on Amazon. Basically, it's microtasks that people that need little tasks to be done post their request on the site. You do the task, and you get paid. You get paid in a micropayment through the Lightning Network. In this case, it's 1,000 Satoshi, which is about 6 cents at current price.
And what they have you doing is looking right now. The only tasks are looking at food items and defining what brand and type of food they are.
Yeah, they want you to be like a smart computer. I mean, they want you to be like a human.
It's basically like getting paid for CAPTCHA.
Yeah. That's what it is. They're paying you 6 cents. They're paying you 6 cents to do CAPTCHA on groceries right now.
Yeah. Don't know if I would spend that much time, but maybe not for me. Maybe.
But the thing is, the platform lets you do. I'm pretty sure the platform lets you do any task at any price, and it just happens to be that the one contractor out right now just really wants his groceries all labeled. Maybe he's making, like, if you're making an app, right, and you need to, put one image to a word, then you run it through here, and 6 cents on every. I don't know if you ever watched this show Silicon Valley, right? Like the hot dog app.
Yeah.
Where it's like hot dog, not a hot dog, right? Like you can run it through here.
You could, yeah.
And then feed it into your machine learning and then take it from there.
Interesting.
I don't know. It's just cool. It's a simple tool.
Proves the concept.
Uses microtransactions.
Mm-hmm.
Takes advantage of the low fee that Lightning has. And there's no token required. There was no ICO. I mean, the token is Satoshi's. The token is fucking Bitcoin,
Yeah.
And it's just good to see. I'm just happy to see it. It's nice. I like these simple tools. I like when people give you like simple, powerful, robust tools, and you can be creative with it.
Exactly. And this, if anything, this is just the first iteration of a use case that might evolve into something crazy.
It's not going to change the world by itself, but it's a nice little tool.
Imagine being like.
There's some guy that saw this on Twitter today and is right now going through it. He's got like 50,000 Satoshis.
He's got $6. He's got $5. Or $3, that would be.
It's like the honey miner. It's the same idea. The honey miner, you're pulling in a couple thousand Satoshis a day, depending on your computer.
Honey miner, you do not have to do much work with honey miner.
You're just basically converting your electricity into shit coins and then dumping them for Bitcoin.
Honey miner, the computer does the work for you.
So do we have any other topics?
Trying to think.
We saw Dyer newsletter posted Venezuela local Bitcoin volume, but historically we've only had that in Bitcoin volume.
And Bolivar.
and Bolivar, but Bolivar doesn't really matter because the inflation's so high that it just keeps going up. When they normalized it for USD volume, and when you look at it in USD volume, it's just pretty much constantly going up.
Yeah.
So like we can just put that to rest. You know, people are using Bitcoin in Venezuela as an inflation hedge.
And I think it's a good opportunity to push back at some of the no coiner FUD, not even FUD, but like no coiner screeching, where they like to concern troll and say, stop trying to be opportunistic and say that Bitcoin's going to save the world and all the Venezuelan people because they have a new sound money. I just want to make it clear that we're not saying that. We're saying that Bitcoin is just another tool available to these people to try to store their wealth throughout time, and it is working well. And people in Venezuela specifically, Argentina picked up a little bit this year as well. Turkey is far from its peak. So is Iran, and Egypt is far from its peak, but is rising again too. But I just want to make it clear that I'll speak for myself personally. I don't think Bitcoin in these regions which are having massive currency crises or government confidence crises, I guess you could define them as, Bitcoin is just one tool that these people can use. And if I think,
I mean, it's a pretty big tool now.
It is a big tool.
I would say
it's not going to solve all their problems, but
no, it doesn't make life fair.
No,
it doesn't like magically solve inequality.
No,
but like they have the guarantee of a fair money.
Yes,
right. Like we saw. I mean, there was Salt Bay, the famous chef.
Let's talk about Salt Bay a little bit. Salt Bay fucked up.
He had Maduro eat at his restaurant. And
bad optics for Salt Bay.
Took a bunch of Twitter pictures with him and videos and stuff. And you like see Maduro like gorging on food while people are starving in his home country.
Gorging on a very expensive meal.
It looked very delicious. And you know, like it really brings to light, like, who the fuck wants to trust that guy with your wealth, right? Like if you're a Venezuelan, like up before Bitcoin, you could get black market dollars, but like Bitcoin makes it way fucking easier to not have to trust Maduro with your money, with your wealth, with your family's livelihood, right? So at least you have, you know, it's not going to solve inequality, but at least you have that guarantee of fair money, fair wealth value.
Exactly.
You know? Can't be corrupted.
And for all you no coiner screechers out there, nobody's trying to say that this is going to solve all Venezuela's problems. It's just another tool available to these people, and it's been working pretty consistently for almost a decade now. Yeah,
and the thing is, you want to buy, like, you can't buy it while the crisis is going on. Usually, it becomes very difficult. You know, Iran banned cryptocurrencies.
Well, that's crazy to see that USD volume in Venezuela is still increasing as their crisis is.
I think the problem is with them is not only are they a horrible government, they're so bad that they don't have the kind of control over their citizens that a lot of these other countries have, right? Yeah. Where they're not sophisticated enough to really block that inflow of Bitcoin. And there's so much cheap energy, right? So people are mining on old equipment and stuff. So the black market has easy supply for Bitcoin to be introduced into the economy.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things with Bitcoin and POW in general is that permissionless nature, with the fact that if you have equipment, you can hook it up and mine. And like now you need ASICs, but you know, it's just a matter of getting that hardware. And then once you get the hardware, you can mine relatively anonymously and no one can stop you. That's, you know, exactly. So if it was a proof of stake system, you would basically try and stop that whole inflow that Venezuelan black market miners have would just completely get cut off, right? That wouldn't exist. The only way to get it would be from buying it from a current holder.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so you block off that.
That's a good point for proof of work versus proof of stake. And actually,
that's
we can
the main thing
segue this into maybe a last segment is we've talked about the series in a few episodes up to this point. It would be remiss of us to not bring it up in this episode, and that is the fourth part of Laurent's
Bang Bang
POW series. And it was really just more of a philosophical piece. Like, hey, we probably shouldn't be comparing proof of work and proof of stake because the trade-offs are so immense when you compare the two that they're really solving this. I don't even want to say they're solving the same problem. Like the trade-offs are so vast that they're hard to compare when you're talking about securing a decentralized protocol like Bitcoin.
I mean, yeah, people think like blockchain is the magical invention of Bitcoin. I mean, I would say that POW element is really the breakthrough, right? It backs the whole trust minimized system and makes it permissionless, makes it so that everyone acts greedy and the system basically operates regardless of how anyone feels or does or whatever.
Yeah, and it's completely capitalistic too. Like if you slip up, like as we're seeing Bitmain do right now, people are going to fill those holes, and it's easier for new entrants to make a dent in POW, whereas in POS you sort of have to buy your way in.
Yeah, Hugo has a great I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Hugo Nugent.
Yeah, he has a great post on. It's my favorite post on the topic of POW versus POS, and I actually have a domain which I redirected to his Medium, which is POW versus POS.com. So if you want to read that.
VSPOS or VERSUS?
No, I got VS.
Okay.
And I also have the opposite. So you don't even have to remember how I said that. You could be POS versus POW, POW versus POS. I got both of them. I actually have a ton of Ethereum staking domains. So if they ever pull off this this proof of stake thing, you know, I got myself covered a little bit. But yeah, so just go to that. You can read his post. We'll link it in the show notes. Yeah. That's definitely a good one to read.
Yeah. What else we got? I'm gonna come to the defense of Salt Bae. Not come to the defense of him, but I had a funny high daydream today, like where Salt Bae is just so stuck in his world of meats that he doesn't even know what's going on in the geopolitical world. He just heard like, hey, there's a president.
Yeah, he didn't realize. I think he. But I mean, that's just as bad, almost, right?
Almost, but like I would also like to think of Salt Bae as just like so committed to his craft that all he thinks about is cooking meats and chopping them and making Twitter videos.
He deleted all the posts.
Yeah, I saw that. Maybe somebody came up to it and was like, Salt Bae.
No one was at the Miami restaurant, got boycotted. Like no one was at the Miami restaurant.
I bet somebody came up to him and was like, Salt Bae, like, I know you were pumped for that dinner last night. I don't think you understand the gravity of the situation in Venezuela.
Yeah, he was like pulling out like the promo shirts and stuff, and he was like putting them in front of people. I don't know, this craziness.
Again, I don't think this is true. This was just a Marty daydream this morning. You got any final thoughts here?
I don't think so. It was kind of a slow week.
We're
a little bit in the doldrums.
I think it's going to continue. I think it's going to get slower and slower and slower.
Yeah, I mean, that's what bear markets do. People usually put their head down. I mean, I think we're, some people were calling for a reversal this week. I mean, I don't think the bear market's anywhere near over yet.
Yeah, I think there's a bit more capitulation to go before.
Yeah, but long term, the thesis is the same.
Yeah, fundamental. I mean,
we're sitting in like late 2014 right now, and like what the absolute bottom was like January 2015.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Tor Demeester had a good tweet today, that he wrote at the depths of the last bear market. Bitcoin fundamentals have not changed. Only price and sentiment did.
That was January.
Hashtag capitulation.
The price hit, that low was $152. It had hit 1,200 like earlier in the fall of 2013, and then almost so it was like a year and a couple months afterwards.
Yeah, Tor said he posted that tweet in January of 2015 at $177.
Yeah, so it hit 152 on January 20th because I have an article where I like screamed at the world a little bit.
Yeah, so that was a week. This tweet was a week before it. So, Tor almost called the bottom.
Yeah, 150. I mean, look, if you call it the whole way, you'll get the bottom too. That's what we're all doing now. You'll see us all on Twitter. We're all posting. You post the bullish tweets, and then you get to retweet the one that's.
It's prescient.
But I mean, obviously, Tor was buying the whole time. He called it.
Yeah.
No one needs to call the exact bottom. If the thesis holds true, Bitcoin goes up forever, and it's going to have these volatile periods, and you're just, you have to have a long time scale. You can't, trying to trade these shorter things just freaks everyone. There's people who have, been shorting Bitcoin since $17,000 and have gotten liquidated 25 times or whatever, or have gone long and the same thing has happened to them, right? So it's like, if you're betting on it short term, this is just just straight gambling. Yeah. Everyone thought we turned around this, and then we're back down. Right?
Yeah, so. Like 2 months ago when we went up to like 8.3 for a bit.
But I have to say, like, Bitcoin is like, I'm probably jinxing right now, and it's probably gonna like crash right after the pod. But I feel like it's holding way stronger than I expected, especially when you compare it to something like Ethereum. I mean, the Ethereum stakeholders are literally scrambling for narratives right now.
Yeah. Hey, it's a good time to buy Ethereum to become a validator in the future.
Yeah,
32 Ethereum is all you need.
Right. I mean, we don't know if that's final or anything yet, or if POS will even happen.
Very arbitrary. I have my prediction out there in the wild. It'll never happen.
You've been right so far.
I will be right until it happens.
I had the opposite. I've been arguing against POS for like 2 years now. That never happens. It's like such a fucking waste of time. It's like and the specs keep changing, so you can only do like vague big big statements because you don't know what like the actual specs are going to be. But it should be interesting. We actually have like POS chains now like running in the wild like Tezos and shit, so yeah, we get to see them fail and then be like, told you so.
Well, one that did fail this week, Steam it.
But that's like a complete shitcoin.
Yeah, DPoS.
I guess it's supposedly used a lot. I've never used it.
I mean, people do use it. You can rack up.
It's like a Reddit, but you get paid to post and like you pay for upvotes and shit, right?
Yeah.
It was the EOS. It's Dan Larimer's.
Yeah.
It's Dan Larimer's. Dan Larimer likes creating projects and then like walking away from the projects when they're about 75% through. It's like he's like your general home contractor, right? Yeah. Like he's really good at getting you to like 85%, but then he like walks out and there's like a hole in the bathroom and just never gets fixed.
Yeah, and one day it just stops working.
Yeah, so he did that with BitShares, and then he did that with Steam, and now he's doing it with EOS. Mm-hmm. And I'm really looking forward to his next project. It's probably going to be fantastic.
Make sure you get in on that pre-sale round.
Yeah, please don't. I hope our sarcasm comes through.
It does. I hope so.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we can wrap this up here, and should we? Nah, we can surprise them. We'll see you guys next week.
We're gonna surprise you. We'll be back next week with a surprise. Enjoy the rest of your week, freaks. Peace and love.
Thanks for tuning in to the Rabbit Hole Recap.